Yes, as we were looking at this example earlier, let's look at the example now. Okay, suppose you invest $1,000 from the previous example for 5 years. How much would you have? That's the question. Right, again, in any given basic time value of money problem, a simple problem, ensure that there are 3 known elements always. That's the first step. So we know the first element is this 1,000. This is the present value. This is the cash flow, the value of the cash flow now. Okay. And then you know from the previous slide that the interest rate, the second element, is 5% per year. Okay. And the third element is the term, the time of investment, the term of investment, or the length of time of investment. This is 5 years. Or the number of periods, Number of periods will be 5 years, Number of periods, number of years, Because the period is 1 year, Therefore, this is 5, So, the fourth element is not known, so that will be indicated by the question. How much would you have? When, How much would you have? This is a question of when. This is 5 years from now. Therefore, this is future value, What is the value of this cash flow in the future, Right, so the formula is this, future value at end of year 5 using the formula is equals to the present value now multiplied by 1 plus r raised to the power of n, So 1,000 multiplied by 1 plus 5% raised to the power of 5, you get 1276.28. This is in dollars, There should be a dollar sign here. 1,276.28 is the answer. Okay, the effect of compounding is small for a small number of periods, but increases as the number of periods increases, Now, what is the simple interest? How do you compute, So it's given here as 1,250, So we can show that here, We can show that here, future value at end of year 5 is equals to present value. This is without compound interest, This is with compound interest. This is with simple interest. Therefore, multiplied by 1 plus r multiplied by n, r multiplied by n, 5% multiplied by n here, 5 years. Therefore, in total, 25% as interest, over 5 years. So you add 1, so it is 1.25 multiplied by 1,000, you get 1,250, So the difference between the two is $26.28, And this comes from the compound factor, the compound interest element, in this example. Okay, now let's look at this expression here. You can also solve this. Remember that any problem can be solved using 4 methods. Okay, time value of money. You can use 4 methods which are available. The first one is formula, and we have seen that here. We have shown that here. Okay, the formula is shown here. Okay, here. Alright, the second method is using the time value of money table. So we can use this formula. Future value at end of year 5 is equal to the present value at time 0 multiplied by the future value interest factor 5%, 5 years. Okay, this is taken from, I can't get the, oops, a moment, Okay, right, so I can't get the pointer here, so this is, I see the pointer here. Future value interest factor 5%, 5 years. So this value is taken from the table. If you look at your table at the end of the textbook in appendix, table A1, look for the column of 5% and the row of 5 periods. 5 periods here. That means every period you earn 5% interest. Okay, and the value that you see in that cell is 1.2763. Okay, this is rounded. This is rounded to 4 decimal points. When you multiply this with 1,000, the present value here, so you get 1276.30. Note that this is very close to this answer, and this is exact. This is not very precise, and this is an approximation, because this is rounded. Okay, therefore you get an approximate answer. Therefore, it is always best to use the formula rather than using the table. Yeah? But this table, you can use it as a means to check your answer. Alright, so this is how you get this. And now let's demonstrate this on a timeline. In the same problem, we demonstrate this on a timeline. This is the timeline here. So now, 1 year from now, 2 years from now, and this is 5 years from now. Yeah? So what are the known elements in this problem? We know the n, which is 5-year term, yeah, or 5 periods, or times of earning interest. Yeah? So you earn 5 times. Yeah? The interest is earned 5 times. That's why we call this n, yeah, 5. Right, the second element that is known is the present value. Yeah? Note the sign convention here. We put a negative. Yeah? It is not so important when you're using the formula, but it's very important for two methods, as you will see later. Yeah? The two methods are for the use in spreadsheet. Okay, you need to put this sign, and also for the financial calculator, you need to put this sign. Yeah? Without the sign, you won't get an answer, or you will get an error. Okay, why is it a negative? Yeah, so this can be either positive or negative, but here the correct term will be a negative because it's a deposit, outflow of cash now. You deposit now, therefore you cannot use that money. Yeah? It's an outflow. Alright, and then the third known element is the interest rate. Yeah? The interest rate is written here, 5%. That's the interest rate per period or year here. Yeah? Alright, so we know these three elements. What is the fourth element that is not known? Okay, the fourth element that is not known is the future value. Value of the deposit or balance, yeah, after 5 years. That's the unknown element here. So we want to know what is the value of this cash flow now after 5 years. Okay, so that's the question of future value. What is the future value of this $1,000 that you deposit now, given that you earn interest 5% per year? Yeah? Alright, so how do you do this? Okay, so here another thing that you need to note, yeah, is that interest is compounded or added. And compounded here means added, yeah, in quotation. Yeah? Put this as quotation. Yeah? Compounded means added 5 times. So you can see this. Yeah? It's added for the first year, then added for the second year, added for third year, fourth year, and fifth year, 5 times. Yeah? So this is done every year. This is why it's called yearly compounding, yeah, interest rate. That means it's every year or every period, yeah, it's compounded once. So that is the definition. But here it is yearly. Therefore, every year it's compounded once. So therefore, it's compounded 5 times. And this is the formula to get the future value. We have already computed that. Yeah? That means this tells you that if you deposit $1,000 now and you earn 5% interest per year and you leave this amount for 5 years, when you earn compound interest, the balance, yeah, the value of this cash flow will grow, yeah, to become 1276.28 after 5 years. So that's the answer, and that's how you should see it. Yeah? You visualize this graphically, yeah, or in an illustration. Okay, this is how you should view this problem. Alright. Okay, yeah, we can also show this problem using a spreadsheet, yeah, and the financial calculator. Yeah. Let's show the spreadsheet first, and then we'll come to the financial calculator later. Yeah. Now let's look at the spreadsheet. Yeah. So I've got the spreadsheet here. Okay, you can see it. Let me just drag this. Oops. So that you can see the full screen. Yeah. Alright. Let me just expand this slightly. Okay. Now, this is present value. Yeah. Note this. Yeah. Present value, you need to put a negative here. Right, negative 1,000. Yeah? Then the rate 5%. Okay, the payment. This one you just ignore for the moment because this is an element. Yeah, remember there are only 4 elements in a simple time value of money problem. This is another element. Yeah, the 5th element, which we will see in the next chapter. So this doesn't belong in chapter 4. Yeah, it belongs. Sorry, not in chapter 5. Yeah. It belongs in chapter 6. okay, where we discuss about complex time value of money problems. Here we are looking at only simple. Simple time value of money problems have only 4 elements. The first element is present value, the second element is rate, the third element is time, and the fourth element is future value. So we can ignore payment. So we can put that as 0, payment. Okay, time is 5 years. Okay, 5 years, and future value. Okay, this is what we want to compute. So you know these 3, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and then you solve for the fourth unknown. So to do this, you can use this function. You put equal to. Can you see this here? Okay, equal to future value. Okay, FV stands for future value. So equal to sign, then this becomes a function. Then equals to future value. Then you open bracket. Then you specify the values in this order. It must be in the specific order as shown here. Rate refers to the interest rate, so you must mention the interest rate here. You can either type in the interest rate directly. You can put this as 5%, or you can type in the cells in which the 5% appears. Okay, so I've done the cell, D3, is where the interest rate appears, right? Then the second value will be number of periods, NPER, number of periods. So this is 5. You can type in 5 directly, or you can key in you can click the cell in which the time, the number of period appears. Okay, I've done that here, D5. Then followed by the payment. This is by default. Excel requires this. Therefore, there is no payment. PMT stands for payment. So you can just put that as 0. Okay, 0 here, or you can click the cell that has the payment here, or you can just leave it blank. You can put comma and then comma. Every value must be separated by a comma. Note that. So payment is 0. Then the present value. So here you need to put is as negative 1,000. So this is important. Or you can just put this as negative 1,000 and click the cell in which the present value occurs, or is keyed in. So I've done that here. D2, D2 is the present value. Now this is negative 1,000, and the last element here is the type. Alright, and this type you can just ignore that. You can ignore completely, or you can put a 0. Now this type, there are 2. It's either 0 or 1. 0 means the cash flow occurs at the end of the period. Okay, that is by default. That's the default. But if the cash flow occurs at the beginning of the period, then you put that as 1. But here we will look at this element here, the last one, type, in the next chapter. Here you just type that as 0. Okay, and we'll come back to that later in the next chapter. So once you have done that, then you close the bracket and then you just click OK, and you get this value 1276.28, which is exactly the same answer. It gives you a very precise answer. Okay, that's solving using the spreadsheet, future value. Alright, you can also solve this using the financial calculator. I'm showing you the financial calculator application. You can go to this. Can you see the URL? Okay, this is the URL here. Okay, so fncalculator.com. You can use this in your notebook or your app. In your phone, Android phone. You can download this app, financial calculator. And click on this time value of money calculator, TVM calculator. Right, you have this here. Now this clip is going to come to an end. We'll try and do as much as possible, then we'll continue in the next clip. So you need to make sure that the mode is end. This is type 0, as we have seen in the spreadsheet. So it must be end, and here means the cash flow occurs at the end of the period. Now present value, make sure that there is a negative here. Okay, 1,000. Right? Note that, negative, the sign convention applies. This present value here, negative means you deposit. If it is positive, that means you borrow. So note this, it's a deposit, therefore it's negative. then there's no payment, you can put that as 0.